Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone. So today we're going to dedicate this to a fallen Mexican wrestler named Paraguayo who just passed away this past Wednesday on July 3rd, 2019. We're going to do the little traditional 10 bells, what they normally do, even though we're not in a wrestling ring, but this is feeling inappropriate for him. So let's give a moment's silence. Stand. There we go.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone. So today we have great topics we're going to talk about. So let's start with the first one, with AEW's Fyter Fest. So Nico, I know you haven't seen the whole thing, but you heard about certain things that happened.
That's right.
You know, so, but let me tell you, I don't know if you heard this. There were many people that were talking about the pre-show, that it wasn't that good, you know?
People are upset with the pre-show?
Not upset, like, it was certain, like, let's just say that there was, like, many, how do I say, flaws led to it, or mistakes that were done, or botches that were done. You know, it started out strong with the triple threat match between the Best Friends, SCU, and Private Party. But the one thing I did recognize in that match is Private Party actually made a name for themselves in that match. I mean, people were getting into them completely, and this is what led, if you saw Being the Elite this past Monday, they received full-time contracts by AEW, which is a good thing. But also, just to let you guys know, and I already told you this earlier, on August 8th, on House of Glory High Intensity 9, Private Party and the Bucks will make their last final appearances in the indie shows for good, because they're going to be doing the whole AEW thing soon with the live shows and all that. So, if you guys are watching House of Glory, you can find that on Fight TV. It's only $15 if you purchase it. I know I'm going to watch it, you know. So, but throughout the entire pre-show, there were certain changes that were made. Like, you may have heard that it was supposed to be Kylie Ray against Leva Bates.
Mm-hmm.
But something changed. They put Allie instead, who we all know as the Demon Bunny. You know, I mean, some people also were talking in social media and other news groups that were saying they need to do something about the librarians. Like, they're trying to make this too much of a comedy. I mean, I don't know what was the whole point of the librarian thing. I mean, do you?
Well, to my understanding, I thought they were going to go in the direction of it being like their first intergender match, but it doesn't seem that way. It seems like they really don't know what to do with their,
well, right now, Tony Khan did mention in an interview about that he will not have intergender matches. But hopefully, it's because they said there was a situation that happened with Jordan Grace.
Oh, okay.
At All In or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta look that much about it because, I mean, I know there have been mostly independent promotions that have intergender matches. Mostly I've seen that with bar wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that.
Well, the reason why I thought that was because of the whole having two librarians. You know, whoever gets over is the librarian, and that's it.
Or they're just gonna make them as a pairing couple type. You know,
it seems that way.
Yeah, it's like if you saw Being the Elite, Peter Avalon seems like he's having a thing for Leva Bates.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty
understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
And then the final match that they had for that one, some people call it an unorthodox match. It was more of a rematch between Alex J. Bailey of CEO Gaming versus Michael Nagasawa. If you guys saw Being the Elite, Michael Nagasawa called Jabali Mr. Cripple. And of course, Jabali doesn't take that too kindly. And he spent much of his time training, trying to get himself into good shape, because last time he broke his ankle when they had the collaboration with New Japan.
That's right.
So, but I don't know. It was kind of weird because they used like one of those, the joystick controllers. You've seen those. Not like the ones that you see with Nintendo. It's like the newer ones. And he brought one of those button caps instead of using the thumbtacks. I mean, it was like more of a comedy thing. I don't know. But of course, in the end, that match, Michael Nagasawa won. People were like, what? Including the fans who are there for CEO. You know, I don't know. I think they may not like it, or I don't know. I hope there will be another rematch between those two. Rematch number 3.
Yes.
So, but let's go with the main card now. It started out with an amazing singles match. Christopher Daniels against the legendary Shima. You know, if you followed those two, they known each other for a long time. All the way from Michinoku Pro Wrestling.
How'd that match turn out?
Awesome. It was the best one. I have to say, this is more became like a redemption for Shima. But
Okay.
keep in mind, Shima is the president of OEW, one of their partners from China. And of course, they need a win. You know? Like, he's representing this brand. And of course, people were enjoying this. It was fun. And of course, in the end, they showed their mutual respect for each other. Because, they, like I said, they go a long way from Michinoku Pro Wrestling. But it was a cool match. I loved it. And then I think the next match, I think I remember seeing... what was it? Oh, yeah. There was the triple threat match between the women's, Rio and Yuka Sakazaki versus Nyla Rose. Everybody knows these two, Yuka and Rio, they were part of that 6 women tag team match of the Yoshi style. And they brought these two back against a powerhouse like Nyla Rose.
Oh, I saw that. Rio,
that's her name.
she won.
Yeah.
And you could try to help her, but
Well, it's because you got to remember this. You look at Nyla, she's like that, kind of like not a version of Awesome Kong, but you can see she's similar, like the dominant force.
oh yeah, powerhouse.
You know, but you look at the Yoshi girls, you know they can stand up against anybody in bigger size because they were well trained in that way. You know, I mean, they are the smallest women in the women's division. But, like, there's that old saying, don't let the size fool you. And they proved it wrong. I mean, it was a good match. You see at first, like, Yuka and Rio were teaming up because they know they're facing a bigger person.
Right.
You know. But it was, like, more of a strategy thing they had to do. Even though, let's just say, the alliance is temporary until we get rid of her first, we can focus on each other.
True.
But it was a good match. I have to say, it wasn't, like, a bad one. You know.
It was a very good match. And the little incident afterwards.
Oh yeah, and then there's the fatal 4-way match between Hangman Page, MJF, Jimmy Havoc, and Jungle Boy. You know, one thing that's funny is seeing Jungle Boy on the shoulders of Luchasaurus again. He became like the fan favorite.
Oh yeah, easily.
You know, but I would love to see more of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus because I heard that they may want to give them a tag team direction. So, but we'll do we'll do a discussion about Jungle Boy in the future because I know people are still getting to know him.
That's right.
But we'll talk about him and also Luchasaurus and see how that goes. But it was a good match between the 4. Like, the problem is this, is like you still see the story between Hangman and MJF. MJF claims that it should have been him winning the Battle Royal Double or Nothing. But it didn't turn out his way. He got mad. He was telling that he should have been the one to win. And then, of course, he disrespected Bret Hart. Who could forget that? And here comes Jimmy Havoc and Jungle Boy, who they know who Bret Hart is. You do not disrespect the legend. Ever. You show him some respect because he's been in the game for a long time. And he was considered as one of the best. And, of course, in the end of the match, Hangman Page won the match. But those are saying that it should have been MJF. I mean, what do you think?
We kind of all knew who was going to win. It was just more of like a thing to build up storyline for the rest of the athletes in AEW. I was obviously going to go with Hangman Page, but me personally, I'd rather see Jimmy Havoc take it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be seeing more of Jimmy Havoc in the future, you know. Hope they make a hardcore title, you know, because he's one of those guys that fits with Joey Janela and Darby Allin. So the next match we're going to see is Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin, which is a match people say this is something, how do I say, not weird, but why this match?
This match was more to show more people the Darby Allin character. Not a lot of people knew who Darby Allin was.
No.
Putting him in a match against someone like Cody was perfect. I'm a Cody fan, but I liked Darby Allin's unorthodox in-ring performance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw what happened during the match where he gave like a little flat thing and he hit his back at the edge of the apron.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a scary thought, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy puts his body on the line, and if you guys know this or not, he's a skateboarder. And you know how people in skateboards, they make a mistake and they hurt themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a little different for him, you know. It's like it's almost the same thing. But you see you see the reaction on that. It's like, come on, skateboarders hurt themselves. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for him. It's like another Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I mean, like John Moxley said at Northeast Wrestling about Darby Allin, that he is the future of pro wrestling, and I think he was in line about that. And I think Cody Rhodes saw the same thing with John Moxley, that he is the future. You know, he is young. The people are getting to know him, about his story, how he wrestles, and I say this is like the perfect introduction. Put him with a guy, a bit of a veteran who knows been in the wrestling business, and he'll get recognized for that more.
There you go.
And then after the match, we saw something that shocked us by surprise. The chair shot attack by Shawn Spears. I mean, it was like, I didn't expect that. Did you?
Nah, not at all. When I saw that, I have all kinds of feelings about that whole chair shot to the head.
Yeah, we'll make a discussion of that later on in a separate video.
Yeah.
We'll do that. But yeah, but if you recall, I told you about this. AEW were talking about they want to give Shawn Spears a push that will make WWE what they missed out on him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you and I can agree on this.
Yeah.
That they wasted their time with him and they should have utilized him more. You know? And I feel AEW is now pushing for that opportunity to utilize him what they should have done in the first place. I mean, this is the beginning for him to become a heel, because if you did follow Shawn Spears, that's Ty Dillinger in WWE, he was a face.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's turning into a heel. But let's go back to Double or Nothing when he was at the Battle Royal. You saw the new look of him.
Yeah.
He had that look like he was transitioning into a villain. I mean, I think maybe that was the whole point or something.
Most definitely.
You know, but he did look like he did have that look of a villain when I saw him. Like it doesn't fit like the perfect 10 type, but it fits like he was becoming someone else. And I feel like this share shot segment kind of fits the bill. But we'll talk about that share shot at the discussion. So, but yeah. So the next match we're going to see is the 6-man tag team match between the Elite,
the original Elite.
Yeah, the Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, versus the Lucha Brothers, Phoenix and Pentagon, with Laredo Kid. I mean, it was a good match, but I will never forget how the Elite came out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you guys are aware of this, Kenny's an avid video gamer, and Street Fighter is one of his favorite games. And of course, Matt and Nick are not much of a gamers, but they did admit that they were fans of Street Fighter Turbo. If you want to know how this whole thing went down with the entrance, Kenny got these guys gears, and they both dressed up as Ken and Ryu. Nick as Ken, Matt as Ryu, and of course, Kenny came out as, I forgot what's his name.
Akuma.
Hakuma. It was like the best thing ever. Of course, every fan from who were there, even those who are big-time Street Fighter fans, know what this is about.
Oh, yeah.
Even though if you saw Excalibur, they were saying, "Oh, don't worry, JR, we'll take you to an arcade afterwards," because he's the only one who didn't know what Street Fighter is. But it was a good match, you know, a six-man tag, you know. I mean, you saw 3 members who from the Elite that took the wrestling world by storm. You got 2 brothers teaming up with one of the best cruiserweights. You know, I have to say this was a really interesting match to watch. You know, we can go back and forth. It's like almost similar results as Double or Nothing when you saw the Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. But except they added another member in each. More heat. And of course, we'll never forget the Hadouken part, which was pretty amazing. Everybody were getting up on their feet on that. I mean, who doesn't love that?
All right.
I mean, recently I was at the wrestling showcase in La Mesa. One of the wrestlers had the headband like Ryu, and he did the Hadouken too.
There you go.
You know, you may see the video because I posted it, so it's right there. But I'm like, I don't know if it was a coincidence for me to see that again in the same week, but it was awesome. And then the final match, the non-sanctioned match between Jon Moxley and Joey Janela. Crazy. You see them pulling out all the hardcore toys. Barbed wires, tables, chairs, thumbtacks. I mean, we're back to ECW again. I mean, what do you think?
I didn't really get a chance to see that, but yeah. I mean, yeah, we're going back to like the days of like the territories, and you even got the chance AEW, like, you know.
Yeah, even though, if you don't know this, Jon Moxley, he was part of Combat Zone Wrestling, which is like another version of ECW. And he was involved in these type of matches. But, of course, he picked up the win on this one. But the thing that happened after the match, Kenny got his payback against Moxley. Payback for what Moxley did at the end of Double or Nothing. And, of course, everything went from in the ring to the outside of the ring. And of course, Kenny did the infamous dirty deeds on Moxley, on the garbage can. And of course, right when Kenny left, you see that sadistic laugh on Moxley. It's kind of like Moxley saying, "Yeah, that's what I wanted, Kenny." It's like, I mean, it builds up to that story that would go out to All Out, you know, which is interesting to see. You know, but I can't wait to see Jon Moxley taking on Kenny Omega, because like you said to me on the way, they should make Kenny as a villain. But of course, he's starting out as the face. Or he's been the face for a while, we don't know.
True.
But we'll probably see how this match between those two go. It's amazing to watch. You know, but I'm going to say this about Fyter Fest. It was a good pay-per-view. But not one of the greatest, kind of like Double or Nothing, because Double or Nothing was like a special show. It was more like the, how to say, introduction of the beginning of a new era of professional wrestling that we have been asking for a long time.
That's right.
You know, and I feel Fight for the Fallen will be almost similar as Fyter Fest, but keep in mind, these guys are starting out. I know they got tricks up their sleeves. You can see that too.
Most definitely.
But there'll be more, and we'll talk. And I know Fyter Fest will be not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. It's also a free streaming show.
Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah. So we'll be keeping eye on that one. We'll give you guys what's happened on that one, and I can't wait to see it. So, all right. We kept an update on this the last episode we had. As you've been aware, Villian Enterprise has been looking for a 4th member.
Woo woo.
Marty has scouted throughout the world, from Japan, Mexico, Canada, the UK, and of course here. He revealed his 4th member at best in the world.
Woo woo.
This became the biggest shocker of my life, and I'm sure for many fans in Ring of Honor. The fourth member they picked was Flip Gordon.
Flip.
What are your thoughts of this?
It makes sense. I mean, they took Japan.
True. It's Marty Flip take Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have seen stints of them in being the elite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can tell Marty never liked Flip. At some point when they were doing the best of the Super Juniors, like you saw being the elite, he was starting to like him.
Yeah.
And of course, if you ever noticed, Flip was changing his look.
Yeah.
Ever since the elite left. Instead of wearing like the trunks, he started wearing pants. And of course growing out the beard and all that. I don't know if that was a transition or whatever you want to call it. But he was picked to become the fourth member of Villian Enterprises, and he's been dubbed as the Mercenary. Now the story behind that, if you guys are fans of Flip Gordon, before Flip became a well-recognized wrestler, he was in the United States Army, you know. And of course he still had his love for professional wrestling. And now he's get to that full-time. And it does perfectly fit for him as the mercenary, because we have seen soldiers that become mercenaries, like either working for our country or for anybody who's willing to pay them.
Private contractors.
Yeah. And he fits that bill with Villian Enterprises because he's the soldier that is being paid to do what he's being told to do. So you look at Marty, he's the CEO of Villian Enterprises. He needs someone to eliminate anybody that gets in their way. And he fits the story on that. I mean, wouldn't you agree with it?
Oh, most definitely. And I think the only thing that I was shocked about was Flip's heel turn, because Flip's a really good face. He's got potential to be like a John Cena level face. But like the heel turn, yeah, that was the shock board for me.
There were people in social media when they were talking about this, on Twitter. There were those that are saying it's about time, you know, and they're like, those are like not sure what to make of it. You know, I think those who are still trying to caught on, it's like they still need to see this to a point of view about what Flip can do. I mean, he's been a face for far too long. Right. But we need to understand, like, there are some wrestlers that can transition from being a face to a heel. Mm-hmm. But the real question is, can you pull it off? I mean, there is a female promoter or manager in MLW named Celine De La Renta. She is a natural villain. She's pulled it off the entire time. And then, of course, we talked about Kushida, where he wanted to join the Bullet Club, but Geto wouldn't. But for Flip, I think it's an interesting turn for him, the change to go from face to heel. Because let's see how he's going to turn out as the mercenary that Marty has dubbed him.
Right.
You know, because you look at Marty, he's the guy who runs Villian Enterprise. You look at Brody, who's like the silent partner. You look like PCO, who's whatever he's doing.
Wild card, bitches.
Yeah, and then there's, of course, Flip, who is the mercenary, the guy who does the job that Marty is asking him to do. You know. But I've also been wondering, I don't know if anybody out there has been asking, what does the Bucks think of this? Even though they're not with ROH anymore. I mean, would they like this story of him becoming the villain?
I think all they would have to say is just grab him by the wrist and just look him in the eyes and be like, where do you think you're going?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, it's an interesting pick. But like we talked about, those two have done stints on being the elite. I mean, it's a natural pick. But I don't know if you heard this, that Flip injured himself during that event when he turned heel. He did a 450 splash on Tracy Williams on the table, and he kind of hurt his arm, like during his elbow.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and of course Pro Wrestling Unlimited actually said that it was popped out, but he asked him to pop it back in, but he said he was fine. But hopefully it is, because of course it's gonna suck not to see him to go, because of course we want to see him teaming with Marty.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, now it's like people saying it's Marty Flip Take Japan. Now it's Marty and Flip Take ROH. They're saying that all over Twitter on that. But yeah, I would love to see this story between the relationship between both Marty and Flip, how this is gonna go. Because you can saw how happy he is.
Oh yeah.
You know, the look, like how happy. But if you have noticed when they introduced a fourth member, it's almost the same type of revealment with Marty when he was joining the Bullet Club.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to that scene. What happened is Adam Cole was trying to take over the Bullet Club, trying to find a way to convince the Bucks to take his side. But Kenny wasn't an idiot. He knew all along what he was planning. But he knew there was one person that would do anything for him, and that person was Marty. Now, during Adam Cole's, after his match against Tanahashi, here comes the Bucks, congratulating him, then Kenny shows up, and says, like every hero, there's always a villain.
No, Kenny was on the monitor. He wasn't really there.
He wasn't there, but he made it look like he was there. But you see Artie right there with his famous mask that he used to wear with the umbrella. It's almost the same thing what he did, you know, where Marty was introducing his newest member. And it turns out to be Flip, because I don't think people were expecting Marty to join the Bullet Club. You know? And now it's the same thing again, where you did not expect Flip to join the Villian Enterprises. I mean, it's almost similarities right there. But it was a good story how to go.
I like that.
Oh yeah, I mean
every club needs a villain, and every enterprise needs a mercenary.
Of course, I mean we see in real life corporations they always have mercenaries, including the ones that run by criminal organizations. We've seen that before, but it fits perfectly with the story, with Flip becoming the mercenary or the hitman, however you want to see it. But yeah, I can't wait to see more of Flip, what he can contribute with Villian Enterprise, because the way I see it is this: if they would have had the fourth member a long time ago, Marty would have gained control of the world title. PCO and Brody, they could have got the tag team titles, and Marty, Flip, would have gotten the television title. They would have much of the gold on their side. But that would have been great.
Still can.
Oh yeah, they could. But of course, I have the feeling that because we already seen the war between the Kingdom versus Villian Enterprises. What is Saban going to do? Find a fourth member too? Because there's always been a trio with the Kingdom for a long time, and they never had like an additional member. The last time they had sort of like a valet was Maria Kanellis, right, when Mike Bennett was there, as a member of Kingdom along with Cole and Taven. But I would like to see, like I said, I'd like to see more of Villian Enterprises, where they're going to go with this one for ROH. So we'll keep tabs on that, and we'll follow more of Villian Enterprises. Alright. This last thing we're going to talk about is somewhat the latest changes with WWE. As you all been knowing, WWE has been losing ratings for a long time. Fans have been becoming uninterested with the product, not happy with certain things that WWE like pushes, or giving wrestlers their own TV time, or whatever the scenario is. It appears they rehired Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff as executive directors for the brands. Paul Heyman is going to be running Raw, and Bischoff SmackDown. What's your initial thoughts on this?
Smart moves. They're starting to pay attention a little bit more to what's going on in the world of wrestling. However, I kind of imagined it to be the other way around, with Heyman on SmackDown and Bischoff on Raw.
I mean, yeah, if you guys followed years ago when they started to do the draft, the brand split, you had Heyman in SmackDown and Bischoff in Raw. But right now it's the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, now if you recall, WWE's going to broadcast SmackDown in the future to Fox Network. Now, if you've been hearing this, Fox Network has demanded for SmackDown to be more of a sporty-like show. Enough with the comedy, enough with the drama, make it more of a sports entertainment, you know. And of course, Vince is willing to comply because he knows what a huge deal they have. Because Fox Network, if you guys watch the Fox Network, they have a great sporting broadcast. You know, when it comes to football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever sports they broadcast. And they're proud of that, you know. And I heard that ever since the whole thing with them moving to the Fox Network, they demanded Ronda Rousey to be in SmackDown. Now, we all know Ronda Rousey is taking time off, you know, because she says she wants to start a family. And I hope if she does come back, Vince gives in to this demand because, like I said, they're very proud of their sporting stuff. And you don't want to disappoint a network like that at all. You know, that's the last thing you want. But here's also another thing that was revealed when this announcement first came out with Bischoff running SmackDown. The Fox Network was not happy that they picked Bischoff on this one.
Why is that?
Because they prefer Heyman. I heard somewhere down the line, a friend of mine who's also a wrestling fan,
Yes.
when he was running ECW, Fox Network somewhere had a relationship with them. Not like the main network, but more like a branch of it. You know, and they prefer Heyman. And it would make sense why they'd rather have Heyman as SmackDown. But let's look at it in different ways with the two brands. If you look at Raw, we can go back all the way from the Monday Night Wars.
Right.
It was more like a war zone during that time, you know. And of course, they want to bring that edginess back, the war zone type. And there's only one person that can pull it off, and that is Paul Heyman. And if you look at SmackDown, now we're hearing Fox Network wants this brand, the SmackDown brand, to be more of a sporty type of a show. And there is one person that can actually pull that off. And that's Bischoff, because he made that look with the Cruiserweight back in WCW. And that's something that Fox Network needs to understand. Heyman does not have the expertise to go that direction. The only one that can is Bischoff. So I understand what they want, but they need to see Heyman does not have any expertise on that. You know, it's only Bischoff. But if you saw this past Raw, it had Heyman's, his handiwork written on it. The show at Raw happened. It started out with Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley in a Falls Count Anywhere match. So right close when they were taking the fight to the Titantron down by the stage, Braun Strowman speared Bobby Lashley through the Titantron and it blew out. And then you hear Corey Graves going, "Holy!" He dropped the S-bomb, which is something we know they will not tolerate. But of course, it's been drawing a lot of media attention to this. And of course, Corey Graves was being fined for saying that. But of course, everybody was shocked how this whole thing happened. Now, Paul Heyman claimed he had nothing to do with it. But we're like, come on, Paul. This is your handiwork. You know, we know it's you. Because he's the only one who can do things like that.
Right.
You know. And then later on that night, we had the story with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch in a mixed tag team match against Maria Kanellis and her husband Mike Kanellis. And they put in the story where Maria is pregnant and Mike pretended like he didn't know. And saying that Mike is not man enough to get her pregnant again, all this other stuff. And if you don't know this, WWE were unaware of this. Because in real life, she is pregnant for a second time. And she dropped a bombshell, right? Not only to the fans, but to the WWE executives and the people, the personnel. They were unaware of this. But of course, this was becoming good stuff to put out. I mean, I like to say this was an accident, but it was a good one. You know, I mean, I'm not saying it's the best show that happened, but it was a good one.
We're heading towards a good direction.
Exactly. I mean, this is the type of changes fans have demanded. Now, let's go the following day with SmackDown. There was a scene where Samoa Joe was confronting Kofi Kingston. Now, Samoa Joe wanted to shake Kofi Kingston's hand. Kofi pulled out the finger. Now, you don't see the finger. You see it in the camera angle, right? Where you see Kofi has it, right? The head's like right here. The camera's like way over there, right where your head is. You don't see him pulling the finger. You can see a partial of the finger out, but you don't see the full thing.
Some good camera angles.
Yeah. Because the thing is this. We haven't seen this thing since Stone Cold.
Right.
You know, because he was the only one who was doing it during his time. And this was another change that was becoming good. And of course, they're saying that these ratings boosted up by 10%.
Actually, I think Randy Orton was the last person I've ever seen flip off anyone, but it was on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. But not on live television, from what we know.
It was a live pay-per-view, though.
Yeah. But this one was on SmackDown. Not a live pay-per-view. But mostly back then it was Stone Cold who used to do it a lot. But now this is something where they're going to a direction. Now they want to end the PG era. Because here's the thing, from what sources are saying, that they want to get in touch with the teenagers. Now, let's pretend you and I are 10-year-olds. Okay, let's pretend we're that. We look at these wrestlers are like superheroes to us, you know? And then somewhere down the line when we reach our teenage years, we get bored. Like, it's the same old thing, you know, we don't need to see it again. And they just drift away, they don't want nothing to do with it, you know? And now they're like, they're saying we need to get that type of demographic back into the fold. And this is that time where it needs to go to that direction.
Break it down!
So, and now I feel like this is the direction they need to get. And of course, people are saying AEW's forcing their hand on this. I mean, AEW had nothing to do with this.
No.
The problem is, like I always said, WWE needs to worry about their own internal house.
Yeah.
Because if you're not paying attention with fans not loving the product, they're disliking it, unsubscribing your network, you know, not happy with wrestlers or not being pushed or not being seen, and of course wrestlers are not happy with their positions. Worry about that. Let AEW worry about their own thing. I mean, right now they're worried about the share shot that they just had because it's becoming controversial. But they don't need to worry. You don't see AEW worried about WWE because they're mostly worried about themselves. WWE needs to worry about what's going on internally because if you don't pay attention, this will lead to your downfall, you know? And don't blame AEW for that because they don't need to do anything. They're just there worrying about, okay, what's the next match we're going to go? What direction we're going to take this guy because I like this guy. That's what they're doing. They're worried about that. I mean, I don't hear from AEW what WWE's doing.
Right.
Because that's the thing that many WWE fans, and I'm sorry guys, stop complaining about how AEW is going to fall. You don't know it's going to fall. We don't know that. He doesn't know that. Anybody doesn't know that. That's only up to them how it's going to end up. They will worry about themselves. WWE needs to worry eternally how to make themselves good again. Now, today I just told you this. There's a problem that some WWE sources inside they have a problem with. They believe even though they got Payman and Bischoff back in the fold to help out becoming executive directors, they feel it's not enough. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there are still non-WWE fans who never caught to the product. If you guys don't know what I mean those who never were fans of WWE. They were fans of other promotions. And those are like the fans that WWE never got to in the first place. And I can see that could be a problem too. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's also a problem. You know, to have, because if you have fans that never were caught on to WWE, then you did something wrong back then.
Oh yeah.
You know, so blame yourselves on that. Try to figure out what way, but if you can't, then I'm sorry, then the fans already spoken. You know, like, people already spoken about AEW, that they love the product. You know, they can say the same thing about Impact or MLW, but WWE needs to figure out how to make themselves better again. Because if you don't, they will go out of business, and there's no one else to blame but yourselves. But don't blame others for their failures. You know? I mean, what do you think?
I think with the whole like AEW WWE thing, it's all good publicity for both sides. Like, more people, you're gonna get more viewers on both ends. They're gonna be all like, oh, what's gonna go on? Oh, WWE did this at SummerSlam. Okay, well, AEW did this. So either way, both people are watching because they're paying attention. They'll see, oh, what's gonna happen on Monday? Oh, what's gonna happen on Tuesday? Or what's gonna happen on Thursday? Like, everyone's gonna be going back and forth. Both companies are gonna prosper from the competition right now.
Mm-hmm. But not only that, I heard from another guy named Ango. He did say, don't be in competition right now with AEW. You got Raw and SmackDown. Be in competition with yourselves. Because like I said, Raw is going to be more of the edgy type, and SmackDown as a sporty type. It's a perfect way to have a competition eternally. You know? Because we've seen how some people say, Raw is better, SmackDown is better. You know?
NXT is better.
Yeah, and there's that too. But they ought to keep that to themselves.
They need to stop calling NXT developmental and bring it up with my personal opinion. They need to combine 205 with NXT and make it the third brand, and not make it seem like once you're at NXT, the next level is the main roster. Nah, they're already excellent in NXT. Like,
well, thing is, we do know that 205 Live and NXT is run by Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how that goes, because I know that we have talked about this, that somewhere down the line when the NXT stars go to the main roster, their careers start to down spiral, you know, and they need to figure out how to fix that, in my opinion. Or better yet, say what you said just now. Make it a third brand, you know? Like, kind of like what they did when they had ECW, but make it better, you know? Because, to me, bringing ECW was I feel like it was a mistake.
It was not necessarily a mistake, it was handled not well. Like, it could have, good things came from it. You mean, CM Punk.
True, that's one of the good things, but they could have done something better with it.
My favorite, the whole thing with RVD winning the World Championship. That was excellent.
Yeah. So, we'll keep tabs on what's going to happen with Bischoff and Heyman, and of course the changes that WWE's going to happen. Like I said, right now, this is just the first step of their changes, you know? But we'll see how this goes. If the product is good, then we'll see how it goes. For me, I'll give my own opinion how it goes. So, for now, we all must bid you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.